Hello and welcome back to Timewinder with data presented by SAP. Episode 2, we're going to be going over Fnatic versus IG from the 2018 World Championship Game 1. I'm Jatt, joined by top laner Bwipo from that very game, and also Reignover, former Fnatic player, current Team Liquid head coach. So thanks for joining me, guys. And make sure to stay tuned until the end for a video from a very special guest. I actually want to start just a little bit by talking about the environment that we were in 2018. No Korean teams in the Korean finals. How were you? It was almost like this sense of fervor, I felt like, and a lot of people thought you could win. How were you feeling going into it?
I mean, we definitely felt like we could win. We felt pretty good about it. We scrimmed against IG a lot at that Worlds because obviously IG didn't expect we would play them.
Right, so what happened in group stages, you were the #1 seed from their group because you won the tiebreaker, but then there's no way you're going to meet until finals.
Yeah, exactly. So the only way you would ever meet is you play in finals. Because of that, IG decides to scrim us a bunch. So all the strategies that both teams have used the entire tournament, both teams know. And what I remember most is like, so me and Soaz had different champion pools.
Yeah.
And he played Shen. And Shen worked.
Because that's a lot of what people don't remember, is you and Soaz were splitting a lot of games. You even split games in this series.
Yes, we did. Remembering back is like, I played most of the games this tournament because Aatrox and Urgot were really overpowered. And I had better results playing those champions. The champions that Soaz had better results playing were tanks.
Yeah.
And it just turned out these champions were like unbelievably overpowered. And it was just like, if they were open and you couldn't pick them and just slam wins, that was a problem.
Yeah. Reignover, what do you remember about this World Championship?
I remember this year, like you said, like no LCK team in the final.
Yeah.
And I remember like this year is like a year where the game become a little bit more fast-paced.
Right.
And like LPL team, like even Fnatic was doing really good, and felt like Korean teams were actually not adjusting to the fast-paced meta.
Right.
So like their domination of like such a controlled game has been like slightly changed, and they didn't adjust, and that was interesting. Like watching this Worlds, I guess. Yeah. I didn't realize that this Worlds was in Korea, and no Korean team actually made it. So I actually remember, I think Korean community was blowing up. I was like going over the community, and it's like everyone is like so like, what's happening? Because it was like first failure of Korean.
Yeah.
Like doing Worlds, right?
It was such a shock.
Yeah.
That they actually didn't make it out of quarterfinals.
Actually?
Yeah, because Gen G didn't make it out of groups. I think Afrika crashed and burned too.
Oh, wait,
and then C9,
that's the
C9 3-0'd.
That's the semifinal. C9.
Yeah, C9 3-0'd Afrika.
Okay. I remember.
Yeah, and then who was the last Korean team? KT.
KT lost to IG 3-2.
KT lost to IG in this like insanely close 3-2.
Yeah.
How stressed were you on this moving platform?
I wasn't really. I wasn't really stressed. I was just excited. I was very happy. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like.
I can tell you that you're.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I was super excited. Like this already. Like I already want to close the stream, man. It's like. So this is one thing.
Yeah, what's happening in draft?
Over like 50 to 60 scrims we played against IG is that we could not win if they locked in Camille.
So Camille at the World Championship was only like a 39% win rate, apparently according to the stat, but Ning on Camille.
Like that team was unbeatable if you didn't hold your solo lanes. And Camille was the best jungler in the game to do whatever the you wanted to your solo lanes. Like there's nothing me and Caps could do. Like we can't dodge their ganks. Like how can you dodge a Camille gank in 2018? You can't. I remember being in the room with Dylan and I told him, if I lock in 2-3 Urgot, he's gonna lock Sion.
Yeah.
And Dylan, I remember he was like, dude, it's the shy, there's no way he's locking in Sion. There's no way. I'm like, he is going to lock in Sion and we are going to Jhin 4-5 anyway. I think I should blind Swain.
So why were you going to lock Jhin? Because this was actually the most surprising part of the draft to us, in the fact that Reckless hadn't really played Jhin.
We were a team that like always valued playing comfort. Like for example, right? Like look at our draft. It's like tops. Like we have Lee Sin, Urgot, and then we have Jhin, right? Which is a comfort pick. It was just a champion that kind of worked.
I want to ask Reignover here. This is the old school jungle pathing. You can see the scuttle crabs are coming up at 2 minutes. How sad were you about this? And this contributes to the jungle meta as well.
So looking at this, I remember why Camille jungle is possible.
Because you could scuttle 2 minutes.
Yeah, because
level 2.
Just level 2 scuttle crab fight. Camille super strong, level 2 fight, and like as Bwipo said before, after Camille get red and take scuttle crab, you can gank both solo lane, I guess, and it just applies a lot of pressure. Camille's doing red golem and crab, probably get level 3 there. So I can see why Camille jungle was possible, this meta.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's
even
very
look
interesting.
what Brox is doing. He did red, scuttle, blue.
Yeah.
I always trade with people in my lane, but against Camille, I couldn't. Like, I would just die. So the fact that me and Silent both have all our potions is like, yeah, like this is like, this for me is like same with Caps, by the way. Like Caps is also known for me. Like, I can see that everyone has all the corrupting stacks left, and that just proves to me that like this was Camille. You know, like we were all crapping our pants when Camille get locked in.
Yeah, during I remember I was doing the pregame for this, and the whole narrative was these are the two aggressive teams. Like the slow play is over, and then you walk into this game, and I don't think first blood happens until Camille's like level 6. Let's just talk through the first blood.
I mean, yeah, I think it was just a 2v2 we took on our terms and we lost. I don't think there's much to it. You know, I actually think we were aware that they were there and we wanted to fight 2v2, and it was just, I mean, Lissandra Camille, you know, they're pretty strong. She has photo belt as well. Like, she's really strong right now.
Broxit is a little slow. Like, this is possibly you could have tried to run away right here, but they go for a re-engage.
Yeah, Caps wanted to take the 2v2. And, like, in general, I don't think it's like a bad one. I think
It's surprising how much damage they actually have to actually just one-shot the Mercs Irelia.
well, it didn't really one-shot her.
They did. Irelia also had Ignite.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's like I think Camille got the damage down. I think
also doesn't have
kicking her
flashes.
is like that also would have worked.
This is also OP red smite.
Oh yeah, Red
just
Smite
What was
was
the
disgusting.
Oh, it was
Red
just
Smite
like a
was disgusting.
20% damage reduction and like true damage thingy.
Yeah, it gave like a dot, basically like a red buff.
It was right there, I think.
All right, is this
right
your,
here?
this is your angle? Okay.
Yeah,
So let's
in my mind,
let's see what's in the VOD.
Urgot got changed actually years later,
Yeah.
where you can't flash his ult after getting E'd. But
right.
here I was like, I just ulted him, even though I should 100% aim for his. I should aim for his flash. Like I know he's gonna flash my ult. The question is, where is he gonna flash? It's either up or down, and I don't know. Oh, bye.
Oh, here comes Camille.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to go get the plant, and I was like, oh shit, their whole family's here.
Yeah, and then they just get caps again.
So this is the one. This is the one. So if you go back here, so here, we knew that Alistar was around mid. Like in fact, we even ping. Like I think are we pinging? Are they pinging? I don't remember, but we saw him. I think he's clearing a ward right now. We pulled the trigger mid anyway, and we just die. And I was like, oh.
I mean, I guess they get extra confident from Kaisa coming as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like we knew, like if you go back, like we knew that they had 4 people mid, and we picked the fight anyway. And I was like, oh shit, like we're all so stressed. This is not a good 3v3, like a 3v4. It's straight up 3v4, right? We have Jhin pushing bot.
Is this where you guys were getting desperate?
I think we were desperate, and we didn't realize. Like this was the moment I realized, like, oh
Whoa,
shit,
look
we're all
at how
so desperate.
fast they bring me to. What is this?
There's no plates, yeah. There's no plates. Grouping like this,
no plates.
Grouping like this was considered good, you know, like oh, like they're taking our tier 2, like that's a problem.
Wait, 1 mid kill, you get 2 tier 2.
Well, we're trading for bot tier 1, right? But yeah, it was pretty
I mean,
bad.
their comp is like really good playing the game when you guys don't have tier 2. Like you guys don't have mid turrets, so.
We got to talk about this Rift Trail because this was a game-changing game. Reignover, I want to get your thoughts as we're watching this. Because this to me definitely looks like a little bit of desperation.
Oh yeah.
It's actually a close fight.
Honestly, it looks so good at the start, but it's just we can't kill Sion at this point of the game. It's impossible.
Yeah, I guess you guys actually
Like honestly,
have a
like
full AD comp.
if it's not a full AD comp against Sion, we would smash that fight. By the way, like
it was a good start for sure.
All right, Reignover, talk me.
I think
through
it
what you saw.
also makes a lot of sense because Fnatic has been pushing bot before this whole scenario, right? And then after they push bot, someone Bwipo TP'd here. So like this version of patch, the wave like stacks so big because the movement speed changed is not applied. So I guess like if they win this fight and get that bot wave is like such a good wave for Fnatic. So it makes sense to take this fight. And the left side comp is kind of like a fighting comp. So it also doesn't make sense to not fight, but the Sion, like you guys have like a full 80 comp versus the Sion, and he is just like 200 armor, so Jhin just autos but does no damage. So the start was good, and I think the idea was good, but as Bwipo said, you know, the pick ban seems rough because you guys pick a lot of fighting comp from laning phase, but you guys cannot fight because you guys are scared of Camille, so
yeah, also
I think the game is rough.
Let's rewind that play presented by SAP.
we had no ult in mid jungle, and the Sandra's ult actually came back up during the fight. It was like 5 seconds off, and she had ult during the fight, so it was just like, oh, like when we saw the Sandra ult, I think we all went like, oh wait.
Look at the Sion. He's just building full armor.
No, for sure. Yeah, I
taking
knew
0
Sion was
damage to
gonna be
Jin's
unhittable.
auto.
Like, so the funny thing is when it comes, like everything that I mentioned, like all my concerns actually happened. So it's very rare. Like usually player concerns are like, they're like, dude, they're gonna do this and this is gonna be a problem. Like, and then it's like, dude, there's no fucking, like there's just no way they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
In this prep for the final, I said, or got blind here, which is the normal thing we would do, and we go Jhin 4-5, it's going to be a really hard game.
Yep.
If they pick Sound.
Yeah.
And then, no, it's the shy, he's not gonna pick Sound. And then
He'll,
the next
he'll
thing,
do it for a world skin. Also,
it
what's
looks stronger as
up
their
with
comp.
this 17-minute first Drake?
it was just normal. It was
Just the meta?
IG Fnatic thing. It was just like both teams we didn't care about Drace because it was like gold leads are so much more important.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that the first Herald as well? Or was there a second Herald even in this patch?
There was no second Herald back then.
Herald was taken pretty late as well, no?
Yeah.
Both Herald and Dragon.
Yeah. There's no 8-minute Herald stack.
No one's playing for objective?
Herald's worth 300 gold. It was 25 gold, bro. It was 25 gold. No one
25
cared.
gold?
Yeah, you got 25 gold and there's no plates. No one cares about Heralds. Oh no.
Okay, Bwipo. It's you against the world.
It's me and I'm dead.
Oh.
I'm trying to bait them, but yeah, Sion just doesn't take damage right now.
I guess this is like showing how LCK like not adjusting to the meta, because like if you see IG, like I think this is like the first year where teams have been using the map like one side super fast. So like right after the play, they push top a little bit and then they just instantly rotate to mid into bot. 5-man just bot and people just don't react properly to it.
Yeah, and plus they can drop the Herald after killing that first turret, probably got the second.
This was like worst nightmare draft for us. Like worse than slot draft. Like if we couldn't do worse.
What
Like-
did Dylan say after this?
No one said anything after this, you know. Like it's just like we move on with our lives. Like we all accept that like bad drafts are gonna happen. Like sometimes we're gonna have a draft that's gonna be really hard, and we're just not gonna be in a position to take wins, you know. Like it's just
Oh
gonna
my
be
god.
really tough.
Bwipo.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
They're just not dying though. Oh my god,
All right,
Jackie.
Jackie
We get
loves
something.
getting excited.
Not bad, not bad.
It's something, but it's just not enough. You know, I knew
Yeah.
like we got these kills. I was like, it doesn't matter. Like we need like 3 items to even come back this game.
You are trying.
And my champ is OP as hell. Like I can see it in
Jhin
this
is
game.
actually
You know, like
strong hitting Camille.
Hitting Camille, yeah. Hitting the Trinity Force Camille.
Spoj.
Oh, the game looks very lost.
Yeah, it was ultra lost.
It was ultra lost. It's interesting how when I think back to this Worlds, everyone talks about IG's like solo lane dominance because they were flexing the Aurelia and the Xiao was playing all these carries. But in game 1 of the World Finals, that's like as setup heavy as you can get. It's a tank Scion and a Lissandra
Yeah.
mid.
Yeah.
So it's not really, it doesn't actually match up with their reputation. And this is more of a like Camille, Kaisa kind of dominated game.
They picked it because of like how Fnatic drafted, right? Like it's not like they prioritized these champs, but like the way Fnatic just like blind pick Aurelia and what is that, Urgot both. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that they just pick like a stable lane and then just get over the
So-
first 10 minutes and then they're just gonna win the game. Yeah.
Okay, we watched the whole game. You complained a lot about draft. You've had 5 years of hindsight now.
In hindsight, I think playing against Camille was fine as long as our comp scaled better, and I think Swain would have done wonders. Because it also would have thrown off their comp, because instead of slamming Sion there, they would probably play, like, I don't even know what he would play, because I never blinded Swain against him,
Right.
but I blinded Victor, and what he would play against Victor was Aurelia.
Yeah, and then Reignover, what are your final thoughts on the series? Or on
Final
this
thoughts?
game?
I mean, I think Bwipo kind of sums up pretty correctly. I mean, he was the one playing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Fnatic drafted very strong, aggressive laning phase comp, but they have Camille jungle, so they have to respect
Yeah.
a lot. So the game already from the beginning is not balanced, and they had a Sion versus full 80 comp, so
Yeah.
it has to be rough. I think they had to fight, so they took the fight, but they lost a big 5v5 fight,
Yeah.
so it's pretty unwinnable. Like Aurelia seemed to be a little bit was abandoned. Maybe maybe Fnatic could help him a little bit more so that he can play more aggressive, because it's like a key champion. But outside of that, you know, it looked kind of outdrafted. If
Yeah.
Camille was that oppressive,
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but if Camille was that strong, then it looks very hard to pick Aurelia and Urgot and Trank to stomp lane.
Yeah.
It was both.
It definitely feels to me like Fnatic took a lot of gambles in draft. They're not going to pick Camille, they're not going to pick Sion, but then they did, and that means you have to win in 20 minutes, which you didn't. So that was game 1. So now that we've reached the end of the game, we have a quiz question with stats brought to you by SAP. This is the hints that you get for the quiz. The question is, which lane had the largest damage differential in this game? So what that means is, did Sion do more damage than Urgot across the entire game? Camille versus Lee Sin, Lissandra versus Aurelia. Which lane? Top, jungle, mid, AD, or support? We will not be revealing the answers right now. The first person to answer all 4 correctly by DMing the Team Liquid LOL Twitter account will get a prize. But I want to hear your guesses.
I'd say it's bot lane. I'd say it's Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa Jhin.
I'd say it's Lissandra versus Irelia.
Okay. Maybe one of those is correct. We'll reveal all the answers at the end of episode 4, and that's when the prize will be given out. Thank you. So we said at the start that there's going to be a special video message from a special guest, and we have it from Broxa.
Hey guys, I heard you were watching our old World Finals match from 2018. I pretty clearly remember almost everything from that day, both good and not so great moments. I have to say, for obvious reasons, my own highlights won't be the series and the games themselves. That wasn't particularly enjoyable, but just the entire experience leading up to the tournament, being in the World Final, being part of the opening ceremony with Rise and Popstars, like, what an experience it was.
Well, I appreciate Broxa left that message. I mean, at the end of the day, even though the series was a huge disappointment, at the same time, it was still like the best year of competitive play I've ever had.
Yeah, pretty cool experience nonetheless.
I mean, it was an amazing experience, and in general, you know, it was, for me, it was a really big deal, and I think for a lot of people it was a big deal that watch competitive play, because I think at the end of the day, watching a Western team actually make it there was like pretty magical in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that I was a part of that, and you know, I'm just really grateful that we made it there.
That actually brings up a question for me, and I want both your opinions on this. You made the finals this year. The next year, 2019, G2 won MSI and made the finals.
Right.
But at this point, it's like a 4-5 year drought. How unlikely is it to happen again? Or how likely is it to happen again?
A lot of teams, they show up at Worlds and they like, all the focus is on how we play as a team, on macro, and it doesn't matter if your players can't if your players can't survive 14 minutes of laning phase. It doesn't matter how good you are at macro. You're just down 2-3k gold from laning phase. People don't take risks, especially like after this year. League is all about taking risks and getting in there and fighting. And if your players aren't confident, they like put their foot down and create leads in their lanes, and then people actually come to that and play around that advantage that is created. And I just think that, like, fundamentally, I think it's individual play that's making Western teams struggle a lot. And I think there's just no focus on individual play. At least from what I can tell in my years of play, like I actually think there's a lot more focus on individual play.
Okay, Reignover, do you have any different thoughts? There's
I
a lot to cover there, so whatever stands out the most for you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Bwipo.
Yeah.
I think the Western team can pretty much like be in a level to match like how you should play the team comp, how you can like what's your win condition, you know?
Yeah.
What you should aim for during the game. But
because that works like to win the split.
Yeah, but
in a lot of ways.
But the problem is like when you actually just face the Asian team in the international stage, there's a lot of like the matchup you used to know, you used to believe is just not there.
Yeah.
And like the laning phase is a problem. And even if you get out of the laning phase, their teamfight details and just teamfight execution is just better, you know?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of like, first of all, like it's not even that easy to cover all the win conditions and what you should do during the game. And once you cover that, there's a still laning phase. And once you cover that, there's a still team fight, right?
Yeah.
So you, like if there's a one Western team that actually covers all three, then they can win.
Yeah.
They can make it final. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's just not easy, you know?
Everyone was obviously really excited about it, but I don't think we realized that it might be like one of the only times we see it. Because like once you get to that certain point, you're like, oh yeah, now Europe's just good, right? Now they're just going to be able to do this every year, and it happened for about a year and a half, and now it's gone away. So we'll see. That was a fun watch. All right, well, thank you for joining us in Timewinder episode 2 with data presented by SAP. I'm Jatt. This was Bwipo and Reignover. We just covered Fnatic versus IG World Championship Game 1. Also, make sure to tune in for episode 3. We're going to be doing another World Final. We're going to have Core JJ and some folk to go over his World Championship win. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you then.